Hi, my name is Melissa Wiltrow, and this is my introductory presentation for AEP 858. I am an English language arts educator. This is my fourth year teaching, and I have spent half of my time teaching high school and the second half of my time teaching middle school. My first experience was in a larger, more diverse, primarily low SES school, and my current experience is in a very rural, not very diverse district that is primarily capable of meeting their own needs. My general goal for my professional experiences as well as my personal life is to leave a positive impact on those that I'm interacting with. So the way that I perceive that in terms of teaching my students is that I want to give them tools necessary to be successful, and so I don't want them to have time with me that they think isn't going to impact them or isn't going to matter. My degree focus is librarianship, and I have many reasons why I'm going into that field. Obviously, as an English teacher, I love books, but also just in general, I think that knowledge, information, all of it, it's very important. The way that we acquire this information, the way that we thirst for this information. I personally find it very important to inspire our students to be lifelong learners, and I think that in a library setting, that's possible. I just want to make sure that my students have all of the resources available to them, that they can access information, they can understand it. My experience with data is limited in some ways, and in others, maybe I've been exposed to too much. To start, I will talk about my district that I currently work for. So my first year there, we had a person in charge of our curriculum who made us take a couple of additional assessments each year on top of state assessments, but primarily she just gave us a day, only one day a year, to look at the data, and then that was it. We would talk about it, but we wouldn't really talk about it. We wouldn't think about next steps, and we wouldn't have concrete ways to move forward using this information. She retired and we have somebody new who really emphasizes data. And so actually I think that his attitude toward data is really important. I think that if districts are going to take it seriously, they need to have people who also take it seriously, that are in leadership positions and that have the skills and know how to use it. I would say that sadly we are behind the times. It's 2021 and we are just now this year starting MTSS. So we're working toward vertical alignment, K-12, ELA, math, and behavior, but this is a long process, and so just starting with a standard curriculum is one small step. So I do think that looking at all of our data, talking about these things, trying to fill in our gaps will be a process that we have to dedicate ourselves to. And I did indicate here that I think in general a question that we have come up with is what carries more weight, like one bad test for a student for whatever reason, or what we see daily, because teachers take data points as well in their experience with students. And so combining all of that information and helping students to the best of their ability is really important. My experience with data is, pretty dominant. I, of course, have to take a lot of data as a new teacher. There are a lot of requirements for how I set goals and how I analyze student success. But in general, those data pieces from like assessments and reading fluency tests, comprehension, I typically use for modifications and accommodations. Even if it's a student who isn't on a special education teacher's caseload, if I see that a student is struggling in an area, I will do what I can to meet them where they're at. In terms of data always being helpful to me though, I don't think that it always is. For instance, there are some tests that districts choose to give. It's not something that they're required specifically to give those tests, where it will give you a number, whether that is a Lexile level, a percentile that the student is in, just a random number that is either above, at, or below where they should be, but it doesn't actually break down the skills that they are exceeding at or that they are struggling with. And that to me can be frustrating as a professional who wants to use these data points to learn and grow and inform my decision making. So my plan then, when looking at data and even when taking this course, is to critique with mindfulness. It's important to consider what I'm being given and how it applies to my students and my success as a professional. Use my resources, such as teachers, administrators, experts, information. Synthesize the data that I am obtaining, so whether it's from a test, a standardized test, for instance, or from my observations in class. And lastly, to continue to learn, whether it's through this course or on my own. So that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to this class.